Hey everyone, this is Angie Norris. Welcome into my channel, 60 and a Senior. And on my channel, I talk about bookish things from a 60-year-old and a senior citizen. So I give you a more mature point of view as to whether or not I enjoy books. And in the month of July, I am participating in a readathon that is being hosted by Pango Books and Bujo, Becca at Pango Books and Bujo, sorry about that, and Chloe at Always Booked. Those are the names of their YouTube channels. So I've never participated in a readathon, so when I saw them do a video about this back in June, introducing this, I thought it would be fun. And basically what it is you choose a card from a deck of cards, just a standard playing deck of cards, and depending on the card that you draw, they have a spreadsheet, and you go to the spreadsheet. So say, for example, you draw a 4, you go to the spreadsheet, and you choose whether you want to try to get 1 point, 3 point, or 5 points based on the prompts. And so they give you a prompt, and based on that prompt, that leads you to your next book on your list for reading. So I did a TBR list. I did a video back at the end of June. I'll link it in the description if you want to go back and watch it, where I chose 7 cards, and then, of course, chose 7 books to read during the month of July. Today is July 11th, and just last night, I finished book number 4. So I'm doing pretty good. So I only have 3 more to read, 4 that I had already picked. So I may end up picking a couple of more later in the month. But I wanted to give you an update on what I've read so far and tell you a little bit about the books and what I'm reading next. So stay tuned. Okay, so I had 2 books that I had to read in July for 2 different book clubs that I were in. And luckily, I was able to incorporate those 2 books in the 7 cards that I drew from the deck of cards for the TBRathon. And the first one of those, I no longer have the book. It is a book club that I belong to that is an annotated book club. And so the name of the book was An Anonymous Girl by, it's got 2 authors. I know Sarah Pekinen was one of them, and Greer Hendricks. I think it was Greer Hendricks was the other author. So this book was actually chosen by another person in the book club. They purchased the book, they read it and annotated it, and I was the second person in line. And so I annotated the book, and then I have sent it on to the next person already. So I can't show it to you, but I'll pop a little picture of the title of the book here. This was a mystery thriller, and this one was chosen because I drew a queen, and the queen, the prompt was the format of the book, whether it was ebook, physical book, or audiobook. And I had the physical book, so that got me 5 points. So I earned 5 points already for red team, because that is the team that I chose. You either chose red team if you are a regular person. If you're a person who regularly builds a TBR, or you joined the black team if you were a mood reader. And so for red team, I secured 5 points by reading An Anonymous Girl. Okay, the second book that I read, I still have that book. Let me find it. The second book that I read was The Summer of Songbirds. And for this one, I chose a Jack out of the deck of cards. And Jack, the prompt was something in the title. So it was either a 1-word title for 3 points, or if you could find a book that had the letters J-U-L-Y in the title for the month of July, that could have got you 5 points. I didn't have any book like that on my shelf, and I was trying to read books from my shelf. So for 1 point, I only got 1 point. The choice was to read a book that had a summary word in the title. And someone had gifted me this book from my Amazon wish list, I had just read a book last month by Christy Woodson Harvey, and I enjoyed it so much. She's an author from North Carolina that I wanted to read some of her backlist. So I put some of those books on my Amazon book wish list, and someone gifted this one to me, The Summer of Songbirds. I think this one came out in 2023. It was just a, little mass paperback copy. But I did finish this, and it got me 1 point. Hey, a point is a point, but one more point for the red team in Deck of TBRathon. Okay, book number 3 that I just finished. I actually finished 2 books last night. I try to listen to an audiobook and read a physical book at the same time. And so that sometimes results in me finishing those books around the same time. And that's what happened yesterday. So I finished 2 books. This one was an audiobook, but I also had the physical book. And that was The Most Wonderful Crime of the Year by Allie Carter. This was a Book of the Month Club book that I received in December last year. So the reason I chose this book was the card that I drew from the deck of cards was a king, and that meant that it was a genre choice. And so you could read a Christmas book for 3 points. And I had this already. It was a Christmas themed book, The Most Wonderful Crime of the Year. It's set around the month of Christmas, see the Christmas tree on it. And so I chose this one. It got me 3 more points for the red team. Okay, and the 4th book that I just finished yesterday as well was We Don't Talk About Carol by Kristen L. Berry. This is a debut novel by this author. This was released, I believe it was released the 1st of June. I drew an ace, which meant that I had a free choice. I could choose whatever book I wanted to read, and it would get me 5 points. So I chose this one because this one is a book that I chose and purchased. Excuse me, I have a scratchy throat today. Let me get some water. I just started a book club in a group that I facilitate that is an annotated book club because I had joined another one and I enjoyed it so much. I thought, let's switch up the theme of my normal book club to an annotated book club. So I asked the other 3 members, because there was only 4 of us, if they would be interested, and they said yes. So we just started that the 1st of July, and this was my book choice. I had already purchased this book. When I was doing my new release video, this was a book that intrigued me. This book is about girls, young teenage girls in the 1960s, Black girls that went missing in North Carolina. I live in North Carolina, so that intrigued me. It was also a debut novel by this author, Kristen Berry. There's her picture. And so I love to support new authors as well. And so the whole storyline just intrigued me. So these 6 young Black teenagers went missing in Raleigh, North Carolina in the 1960s. And the female main character, Sydney, finds out that her aunt is one of them. And she didn't even know she had an aunt. She's at her grandmother's and she finds this picture of this young girl and it looks just like her. And so she goes to ask her grandmother, who is this person? And you come to find out it's her aunt. And her name is Carol. And her grandmother tells her, we don't talk about Carol. So this book I also annotated. I love the colors on the book cover. So just to kind of show you a little bit. So I'm reading this for a Deck of TBRathon, but I'm also reading it for an annotated book club. And I'm new at all this annotation stuff. So you can see I have done some highlights and some notes and some tabbing. And I will be shipping this book on to the next person. There's 4 of us in the group. And by the time it gets back to me, which probably won't be until December or January, I will have a book that 3 other people have read behind me, have read my annotations, and they will have annotated it themselves. And it'll just be something that I can treasure. So that's where I am. And this got me 5 points for Team Red. I'm getting ready to send it to the next person, and I bought these cute little book jacket baggy things. I don't know what you call them. I don't even remember what they were called on Amazon. But you can put goodies down in there. It can hold pens. So when I ship this to the next person, I'm going to put some pens and some highlighters and some little sticky notes, things that you would use to annotate, and I'm going to send it on to the next person. So I have 3 more books left that I have already picked out cards for, and they are, I have them right here, another nonfiction, nothing too, well, I read a nonfiction last month, and I just did a video about my June wrap-up, so that's why I said another. That may not have made sense to you, but it's a nonfiction book called Nothing to Fear, Demystifying Death to Live More Fully. This is by Julie McFadden, who is a hospice nurse. And I chose this book because I drew a 10 in the deck of cards. And a 10 was choose a book with your initials in the title. And so my initials are AFN, Angie, or my real name is Angela. Faircloth is my maiden name, which I use as my middle name, and Norris is my last name, so AFN. So this book had an A, it had an F, and it had an N. And I've been wanting to read it because it's been on my TBR list for a while. So I chose this. This will actually get me 5 points because I used all 3 of my initials. So it's one of the ones that are up next. The second one that is up next that I have to read is Famous Last Words by Julian McAllister. And I chose a 2. And 2 meant that I had to participate in someone else's readathon. And so one of them, for 1 point, was Summerween. There's another readathon going on called Summerween. So if you read a book from that readathon, you would get 1 point. 3 points was Catch-Up-a-thon, which is Krista at Books and Jams, and she catches up on her Book of the Month Club books, which this one is. And then 5 was read a Jane Austen novel or a Jane Austen retelling. And I had a Jane Austen book, but I really was not in the mood to read a Jane Austen book during the month of July. So I chose a Book of the Month Club to catch up on that. And so this is one of them that I had on my shelves, Famous Last Words by Julian McAllister. So that would be books 5 and 6. And book 7 that I chose was, I drew a 3. And 3 was based on your release date. So I chose a book that was released prior to the year 2000. And y'all, this is the one I'm going to read next. I'm getting ready to start it today. Jaws. I had this book on my shelf, y'all. This is the special edition. I think it was released by Barnes & Nobles. I can't remember what year Barnes & Nobles released it, but the book was actually released in 1974. And then the movie Jaws came out in 1975. And June 21st of 1975 was when that movie hit the theaters. This year is the 50th anniversary of this movie. And I've already watched it one time. I'm going to watch it again. I'm probably going to watch it several times this month. And then in August, the end of August, it is going, in IMAX theaters is the 50th anniversary edition of the movie. And I'm going to be at the beach that weekend because that's Labor Day weekend. But I'm finding an IMAX theater somewhere near the beach, and I'm driving to watch that movie. So I've never read the book, though. I know that sounds crazy. And I hear that the book is a little different from the movie. In fact, one of the main things that is different in the book is that Chief Brody, who is the police chief, his wife has an affair in the book. So I'm interested to read it. I have this edition, this special edition with the blood red pages, and that's what I'm getting ready to start today. So that will catch me up when I read these 3. This book, when I read this book, this will get me 3 points. This one will get me 3 points, and this one will get me 5. So I am hoping I mean, I'm pretty sure I say that. I'm pretty sure that I will finish all these books before the end of July. So I'll probably be choosing more cards. I'm not as fast a reader as Becca and Chloe. I do work full time and I have a husband. I know they have a bunch of kids too and the husbands, but I don't know. My husband just seems to be so needy. He like needs me, takes up a lot of my time. I love him. I'm just kidding, guys. But I usually only read in the evenings, and then I do listen to audiobooks sometimes when I'm in the car. So I'm not as fast a reader as Chloe and Becca. But hey, I'm scoring some points for the red team. Y'all, I'm so excited about this book. Have you read it? Have you seen the movie? Oh my gosh. If you haven't, go do it. Y'all, if you're not subscribing to my channel, I wish you'd hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you'll be notified when I upload a new video. And this is the viewpoint from 60 and a senior. Y'all have a great day.